Our Manmakers are probably one of the most complicated exercises that we perform in our HIIT classes because there's multiple moves involved in them, but they are a total body strength and conditioning move. They are one that is going to get the heart rate up just as much, if not more, as our burpees. So you're going to want a set of dumbbells for this exercise. We're going to begin in that neutral standing position, dumbbells at our sides. We're going to set those weights on down about shoulder distance apart, right in front of those feet. We're then going to step to make it easier, step on out if you need to, or hop out to that high plank position. From here, we're going to go into a push-up. You can stay on the toes for these, or you can drop down to the knees. It is up to you. We're going to do that push-up, nice and low, coming back up. Then, if those knees are on the floor, you can keep them there for the easier option of our renegade row, or you can pop them on up for that renegade row. If they're off the ground though, make sure your feet are nice and wide for a good solid base of support. We're going to go into that renegade row. Core nice and tight, one elbow up at a time, nice and high. Then we're going to hop or step back in, outside of the width of those hands. Sit back into that squat, feet flat on the floor. Bring those dumbbells to the shoulders, and then drive up overhead at the top. I know it's a lot to process. Watch this video a couple times if you need to. Practice that move. It involves setting those dumbbells down, hopping out, push-up, knees or toes. Renegade row, knees or toes. Hopping or stepping in, curling the weight to the shoulders, and then driving it up overhead. Lots of little common mistakes made on this exercise. Number one, not setting the weights down in the correct position. So remember, we want to set them down right in front of the feet, right about shoulder width apart. So when we hop or step out, our pressure is going directly down onto those dumbbells. If you set those dumbbells out too wide or too high here, you're going to be pressing out or up on those dumbbells, and they're going to want to roll. You're not going to feel stable on them. So make sure you set them down directly underneath of those shoulders. Next common mistake, when you hop or step out here, make sure to keep the abs nice and tight. We're not hopping out and letting those hips dip down. That's going to put pressure on the low back. So make sure those abs are engaged and tight in that movement. Then once you get into that push-up, remember full range of motion, nice and low into that push-up as you're pressing down and up. Next most common mistake comes when we get to that renegade row. A lot of times I'll see people pop up onto those toes for that renegade row, but they're going to keep the feet nice and close together. This is going to make you want to rotate that torso a lot when you do that renegade row because it'll be hard to stabilize. Make sure if you're down on those knees or even if you were on the toes for that push-up, you're going to hop those feet out nice and wide outside of shoulder width. What this is going to do is it's going to give you a stable base of support so that you can squeeze those abs and bring those dumbbells up nice and high without rotating that whole torso. Remember, we want those abs engaged. The other common mistake made on the renegade row portion is not getting the elbows up nice and high. So I'll see people coming up just a little bit off the ground. Remember, full range of motion builds the most strength and gets the most results. Get up nice and high with those elbows. Next portion of this movement. Most common mistake made, hopping in or stepping in, is not getting the feet nice and wide. So instead, we'll hop in close. You'll see my heels are off the ground. It's hard for me to sit back into that squat. And then I'm bringing those weights up, and I'm driving up off the balls of my feet, putting more pressure on that arch. So make sure when you hop or step in, you're going wider, outside of those hands, about shoulder width. So now I'm able to sit back into that squat, and my feet are flat on the floor. Then I'm going to bring those weights up to the shoulders and use the power in my legs to help drive them up overhead. Remember, start lightweight, break it on down, get comfortable with each little part of that movement. Once you get comfortable with it, start picking up your pace, and then you can start progressing up in weight.